I work as a special assistant to the president, Dr. Rhodes, and I've been engaged in several of the grants that we're involved with. I was a coordinator for Achieving the Dream, and for the first 3 years of Achieving the Dream. And then I turned that over to somebody else, and when DEI came along, he asked me to come back into it and work with coordinating DEI. So I've been doing that for the last 2 years. And it's been a great experience because I've seen so many things change at El Paso Community College for the better. And I've seen so many people get passionate about what we can do for students. I've seen a culture of student success and our all involvement, and everybody's involvement, including the student. So it's been a great experience.
What are some of the things that show off the role of leadership to bring these interventions campus-wide?
The willingness to let other people do the work. And that's not shuffling it off to other people. It's just realizing that you need leadership in every level, at every point. And one of the things I do at the college is coordinate the Leadership Development Academy. And that's a one-year training program for faculty, staff, and students. And I've seen those people come, 7 years we've been working with that now. I've seen those people come out of the Leadership Academy, and all of a sudden they're in committees, and they're chairing committees. And these are things they never would have done before. And so just seeing that you let other people get involved, you support them in their involvement, you let them try things, new things. You don't even have to call them innovations. You could just call it a hunch that I'm going to try and see how it works, realizing that they're going to get the support, even if it doesn't work, that they're not going to be criticized. And to see those things flower, and see those people flower, see those innovations flower, it's exciting, and I think that's what leadership is all about, getting things done through people, but giving those people what they need to get those things done.
Well, in this culture of creating buy-in and more room for innovation, what are some of the things you've seen that are already showing some evidence of progress?
Well, I've seen things like DEI asks you to take pilots out of Achieving the Dream and scale them up. And we did that with 2 things. But the third thing that we put into DEI, we had not piloted. So we're kind of rebels, we always have been. But we knew that our students needed it. And so we felt that we'll put it in the application and hopefully they'll accept it as part of the grant. And they did. And that's case management. Now, I always tell people, I hate the word, don't like the word case management.
What does it really mean then?
Yeah, they're not cases. They're people, they're students. Are you really going to manage them, or are you really, what is it you want to do? And we decided what we want to do is to guide them and support them through the first 30 credit hours. Because research shows if you can keep them that long, there's a good chance you'll keep them through to completion, or have a better chance anyway of keeping them. And so that's what we designed our case management system to be, a support and guidance system through the first 30 credit hours. And that's been very challenging because the problem is not technology, it's not policy, it's not procedure, it's people. And to get the amount of people involved that you need to accomplish that is extremely challenging. But it's been great to see people come forth and willing to be mentors to students, faculty, staff, and other students saying, yes, I'll be a friend to another student and help them get through those first critical 30 credit hours. That's been wonderful to see. Still growing, but to see it grow as fast as it has, it's been wonderful for us.
What are you hoping could be scaled up to go from more to most, and where do you see challenges in that?
It depends on which area you're talking about, because like one of our interventions was math emporiums. which require a lot of resources, a lot of space, a lot of technology, a lot of people, tutors, to be available whenever a student wants on its own time to move ahead, self-paced. So that's real challenging to be able to scale that up. Prep program was one of our interventions as well, to prepare students to take the Accuplacer test and do well on it. Requires staffing, requires equipment, requires space, all that. The one thing, the mentoring thing, doesn't require space. It doesn't require technology, but it requires a lot of people hours, and that is challenging.
What makes a good mentor?
Somebody who cares. A great mentor is somebody who's been there, because that's why students can be so successful as mentors, because they know what it's like to walk out of high school and 3 months later walk into college, and everybody there thinks you know what you're supposed to know, but you don't. And especially, I think students, because DEI focuses on developmental education students, they're the most at risk. They not only have come into something they don't understand, they don't always bring with them the things that will help them to get out and understand, to ask the questions they need to ask. I think the stigma that's placed on them quite often says, you're dumb and you're going to stay dumb. So I think
But you know what's impressed me just hearing about this work is that the stigma of developmental ed is actually really being reduced and redefined around college ready and career ready. Is there how would you want to see that, you know, reduced even more or brought into the culture more around being college minded?
I think people are using those sometimes interchangeably. Developmental ed and college ready, there's a big difference between the two. College ready, you could be very near college level, okay, but you're just not quite there. So there's degrees of preparation that you may need. Developmental education, again, there's some degrees, and it could be all the way from needing just a little bit of brush up to nowhere near where you need to be years before you can get to what you need to be. And so there's a difference on that. Yes, I think it's changing because, number one, it's getting attention. Number two, people are putting into place those things that will help them, number one, stay out of developmental education. That should always be the top priority. Stay out of it. Don't get into it. Failing that, make it so that you don't stay in there long, so you get through as quick as you can. But that you're also kind of celebrated for the fact that you're hanging in there and you're working to get to where you need to be. So sometimes people think, oh, well, they're going to drop out, but you got to think in terms of, no, they're going to stay in because you're going to give them the support that they need.
So it's really maybe turning around the idea of students that might have had bumps along the way, dropped out, come back, then become an asset to the kids that are coming up, because
absolutely,
they could be mentors.
They've been there, and that's our most successful mentors are students. And some of them have been in developmental education just for a short time. Some of them just miss getting in. But they still know what it's like, and so they can encourage it. And it can be just, in our case, we're saying 3 contacts a semester. South Texas has a program that calls for 4 contacts this semester. Whatever it is, there are contacts through semester, most critical points when the semester first started. Yeah. Are you where you ought to be? Are you doing what you need to do? In the middle of the semester, where are you? Do you know where you are? Have you talked to your faculty member? If you need to, let's make sure you drop that class before you end up failing the class. And if we drop that class, let's give you something that's going to help you. If you need to take it again, you'll be ready and do better. And toward the end of the semester, have you registered for the next semester? And let's do a little celebration. that you've made it through. So those are critical points.
So who's involved in that contact?
The
Is it
mentors.
Mentor.
That's what we ask our mentors to do, those three contacts. So it's not a lot of work. But quite often you'll find I'm a mentor. And what I've found is sometimes I can't do what needs to be done for that student. I can be the contact, but I'm only the referrer to somebody else. One of my students told me that she was very depressed, and she wasn't doing as well as she thought she was doing in her class, and she just kind of stayed away from class because she was depressed. Now she didn't know, could she go back and still finish, or is she going to have to drop and start all over again? Well, I can sympathize, but knowing what that student needs to do, number one, for depression, and number two, about seeing where she needs to do, about can she stay, can she go, you turn it over to a counselor. But if I hadn't made that call to talk to her, she would have just been depressed and maybe dropped out.
Well, that really emphasizes the importance of the human relationship.
It is.
And it not just for developmental education students. It sounds like that's what the college experience should be about.
Should be about connections.
Yeah.
It's a people problem.